Following a year marked by sky-high inflation, soaring interest rates, and recession fears, where does that leave us for 2023? Well, let's get right to the floor show. Joining me now are Fidelity Investments' John Gagliardi and Fitz-Gerald Group Principal Keith Fitz-Gerald. Gentlemen, thanks so much for taking the time out on this final Friday of 2022, the final day of trading. Keith, I want to start with you, right? I mean, we're set, like we said, worst year since 2008. Next week, it's going to be a new market. We're likely still looking at some of those same core problems, right? Inflation, recession fears, Fed rate hikes. But if you look back at March 2009, the markets came soaring back. So what are you expecting in the short term and then the back half of the year in 2023?
Well, that raises a very important and subtle distinction. The inference being raised today that this is terrible, it's 2008 all over again because people remember the global financial crisis. What they're forgetting is exactly your point. What happened next? The markets came roaring out of March 2009. I submit we're closer to the end of this mess than we are to the start of it. So if you're an investor, I'm looking for stocks that have just been beaten to smithereens. You ran down a long and very distinguished list just a moment ago. Many of those names I'm actively accumulating. So I'm very content to look forward, to look at business conditions 3 to 5 years out and to do some bargain hunting, especially this last hour when I get off camera.
You'll be making some last minute trades. I like it. Keith, I did want to ask you, we mentioned Rivian off the top there. They, of course, were one of the great IPOs of 2021, but we've really seen these IPOs, especially tech IPOs, fall flat. I was reading a study. E&Y published their IPO report earlier this month. Deal proceeds at that point, when they published it mid-December, were down 94% for 2022. Are we going to see a boom back the other way? Could we see the IPO space, particularly the tech IPO space, gain some steam in 2023?
I would love to be able to tell you that's the case, but I don't think so. The Fed is going to continue to roil markets, and that by implication is going to impact capital markets. I think the bloom is off the rose when it comes to IPOs. I think what's more likely to happen is you're going to see a jump in merger and acquisition activity. You're going to see companies like Apple and Microsoft go very actively after the great companies that are out there that perhaps are just struggling or perhaps are undervalued. But it's not going to be an IPO market. It's going to be an acquisition market, and that's a sign of strength, not weakness.
Yeah, I love the point that you make, right? We're seeing a lot of consolidation, especially in that streaming space. Maybe we could see Apple get in there. I personally, from a consumer perspective, would love for them to go buy that and consolidate everything again. Keith, I just want to ask you real quick, Pfizer, why? That's one of your picks.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I can't get my hands on enough of that stock. And to John's point, the leaders tend to bottom fastest and recover earliest, and that's beginning to happen now. Pfizer is about customizable medicine. People confuse it all the time with just vaccines, but that's not the case with this one. Big, huge history, long dividends, great reinvestment. I think it's notable that China's elite are accumulating Pfizer's vaccine, according to news reports I'm hearing. So to me, this is a company that's firing on all cylinders and has yet to get rolling into the next few years. I'm very, very happy to accumulate shares there.
Okay, great. That's definitely one to keep an eye on as we go into 2023. Gentlemen, John, thank you so much for joining us. Keith, thank you as well. Both of you have a happy new year.
Happy New Year.
Likewise.
Hi, it's Keith here. Thanks for checking out today's highlight clip. What'd you think? Did I make sense? Is there something you'd like to add? Make sure you leave a comment down below, and of course, click subscribe to keep up right here on YouTube, or sign up for the email newsletter at the link below. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram for my real-time thoughts on markets, analysis, and a whole lot more.